Good morning, everybody. Talking about the cock crowing, I didn't know that, but you can't have a rooster in the city of Dayton. Yesterday, I went and got my chickens for my little chicks to breed some chickens, and I can't get a rooster. So I guess I will continue to deny without the cock crowing 3 times. Okay. The closer we get to the passion, the death, and the resurrection of Jesus, the more we are going to become aware of the sense of loss and tragedy that accompany the events of our redemption. And John has a way of letting us know, first of all, the sense of loss. Secondly, the various ways in which the disciples related to Jesus. And thirdly, the hope and light in the midst of the gloom. So I want to talk about these 3 things. First of all, the sense of loss. John, right away in today's gospel reading, makes us aware of the loss and the tragedy, right? So the first indication we get is Jesus was deeply troubled. Secondly, Jesus says, one of you will betray me. Now these are people that have walked with Jesus for the last 3 years. And one of them is going to betray. Can you imagine the sense of sadness and grief in Jesus' heart? And perhaps in the hearts of the disciples. Thirdly, John says, the disciples looked at one another at loss as to whom he meant. And look at what that has done to the community. They didn't know who's going to betray. And can you imagine the sense of distrust that they must have developed in each other? John then says, after Judas took the morsel, Satan entered him. That's tragedy. John also says, Judas took the morsel and he left. And it was night. In John's gospel, night means the light of God is missing. John constantly plays the theme of night, darkness and light. He constantly plays that in the entire gospel. Now it is night. And then finally, when it comes to the question of loss and tragedy, John tells us that Jesus said to Peter, you will deny me 3 times. So one will betray, the other will deny. So this is the sense of loss that John wants us to be aware of. Secondly, the various ways in which the disciples related to Jesus. At least we have 3 examples, and we could make 4, but there are at least 3 examples. First, there is Judas, who has clearly stepped into the night he will betray. Secondly, Peter, whose intentions are good, but he fell short. And then there is the beloved disciple, who today's gospel says lay close on the chest of Jesus. We can create a 4th set of disciples and how they relate to Jesus. People who were in between both of these. Many of them ran away, right? They didn't betray, they didn't deny, but they ran away. Thirdly, the hope and the light in the midst of the gloom and darkness. In John, the moment of the darkest darkness is also the moment of justification of Jesus, the glorification of Jesus, and the redemption of the human race. What does Jesus say? He says, now is the Son of Man glorified. Judas just stepped into the night. Peter is going to deny. The disciples will abandon. Only one disciple stays right next to Jesus. And Jesus says, this darkest moment, this is the moment in which the Son of Man is going to be glorified. So even in the darkest darkness, hope is not lost. let's draw some practical implications for us today. As we look at our lives, I'm sure that we have seen various stages in our relationship with Jesus, isn't it? Now today, if you ask me today, I feel at least, and I want to say this humbly, and dear God, please let it be so, I feel that I'm laying my head on the chest of Jesus. That's where I am. But if I look at my entire life, I have not always been there. And I'm sure when each one of us looks at our own lives, we may realize that we may not have been yesterday where we were today. I look back at my life and I can clearly say, dear Jesus, I did betray you. Dear Jesus, there are times that I did deny you. Dear Jesus, there are times that I ran away, I abandoned you. As we walk through Holy Week, let us stay very close to Jesus. Let us lay our head on his chest. Let us put our ears to his heart. These events of our salvation, Jesus didn't have to do this, but he remains faithful. And so as we see the various stages of relationships in our own lives, and as we see the various kinds of relationships being played out in the lives of the different disciples, there's one man who stays constant, who loves faithfully, who never wavers, who never denies, who never betrays, only loves, gives his life, and that is Jesus. In the times of the darkest darkness, that is our hope. Life happens, God remains faithful. We may deny, God never does. May Christ keep us faithful to himself. And may our lives bear witness to a disciple whose heart is close to the heart of Jesus, whose journey mingles with the way of the cross. People of God said,